Here we go, gang. Glad you're here again this week. Talk about the 4-4 defense. Thank you, Kendall. A couple things before we do get started. A lot of you have been back here week in and week out, and we appreciate that. You're looking at the defensive parts of what we've already talked about. We've talked about a 6-2 defense. We've talked about a 5-3 defense. We covered the sweep, the counter, and the power in the run game for 5 weeks, and we've got 5 more weeks of this coming at you right now, starting with this week right here with the 4-4. So why do we do this? We do this because as much as we help you with FirstDown PlayBook, and as much as you've got all the editing and capabilities and the plays and the coaching points and all that, we know that you want to take a deep dive into some areas of what you're about to do. So that's the first reason. The second reason is, and we always say this, everybody's busy in this world. Bill Belichick's got a busy schedule. But no busier than you, because he doesn't have to, go to work during the day, have a family, and that he has to worry about and all that. You've got to do all those things and still coach your team. So, what we're trying to do is give you an edge to help you save you a little bit of time as we get going here. And so, as we do this, understand that what we're trying to do is help you. And we don't charge for this. It's absolutely free. And then, like Kendall just mentioned, we put it on the website at this point when we leave, and then anybody else can get on it after that. So the last thing, and she hit on that, I want to hit on it again. If you're a commissioner, or if you are in contact with your commissioner, let them know to spread the word. Once again, this is absolutely free. There's no reason at all why we shouldn't have full capacity every week. All right, so here we go. 4-4 defense, youth football style. You're looking at a 6-2 and a 5-3. The common parts of those two defenses, as you look at them, are pretty commonsensical. You've got a 6-man front, and you've got 2 linebackers with a 6-2, and then that's called an even front, even though it's 6. But 6 is still an even number. But you're playing more of a goal line type defense of what you would do if you were coaching high school, college, and NFL. Now, a 5-3 is an odd front, 5 men up front, 3 linebackers, and then the back end. So tonight we're going to talk about a 4-4. And the first thing that I want to, really get into tonight is the similarities and the differences in a 4-4 and a 6-2. So let's take a look at the foundations of a 4-4 and some of the common defensive terms that go along with it. Now you're going to see us talk about, tonight, and I'll just blow this up here a little bit so we don't have to open up every one of these. But as we talk about it, we're going to talk about the defensive identification. And actually, we've got our defensive identification in our how-to section drawn up as a 4-4. So you're going to have a 4 down front, and then you're going to have really 4 linebackers. Now, a lot of times for the strong side, they'll be called Sam, Mike, Jack, and Will. All right, in a 4-4, you might actually have a strong safety that drops down. So it might be Sam, strong safety, Mike, and Will. However you want to call it, it doesn't matter. It's more about how you fit the defense. All right, so the gap responsibilities, regardless of what defense you're playing, are always going to be the same from the standpoint of how you identify the gaps. You identify the gaps inside out. A gap between the guard and the center, B gap in between the tackle and the guard, C gap in between the tight end and the tackle, and a D gap, or a crease is what we sometimes will call it, in between a tight end and a wing. We call anything outside of that the edge. Now, the techniques that we'll be talking about, we talk about our techniques on the center as being a 1 to the weak side, a 1 to the strong side, a 0 is head up. On the guards, we talk about a 2 head up, a 2 eye on the inside eye of the guard, all right, and a 3 technique is on the outside. On the tackle, it's just the same, just one a number removed, 4 eye on the inside eye, 4 head up, 5 technique on the outside shoulder of the tackle. And the tight end is the one that's a little bit different. It's just traditional in football that you call an inside technique, a 7 technique, head up 6, outside technique, a 9. So, and this is all in FirstDown PlayBook to go back to as reference for later. Now, this is a really important part right here. We're going to talk a lot about this as we get going. Just a sample fit. Now, when you play youth football offenses that have, oftentimes will have 2 tight ends, maybe 2 wings, kind of all packed in, and they should be packed in because the quarterback doesn't have the ability most of the time to take advantage of a spread offense. Some coaches think that they can. You know, I would say as a defensive coach, you want to make them prove that to you. But as you line up right here, and this is the way a 4-man front or a 6-man front and a 6-2 would both look. And that's the point that we're going to make tonight. There are times when you're not going to be able to tell the difference in a 4-4 and a 6-2 based on the formation until you start motioning, spreading it out a little bit. And that's when the 4-4 and the 6-2 kind of differentiate from each other. But right now, if the run comes over this way, you'll hear us talk tonight about fitting the gaps, you know, gap responsibility and making sure that you've got responsibility to the flow and away from the flow. And we'll talk about that more as we get to the 4-4 specifically. And this is the important part. With a 4-4, the difference in a 4-4 and a 6-2, and I'm about to get to that here in a second, is that in a 4-4, you can play man free. That free safety right there does not have to be responsible for anybody in particular. He can be free to the ball. He can be extra, whatever. But everybody else will be playing man underneath. If the flow goes away, I just want to blow this up here so you can see this. If the flow goes away from one of your inside backers, all right, then that backer can actually become an extra person to the run or a person extra to the passer. If the running back were to come this way, then this backer would take the back and this backer would be free. But the free safety is going to be free either way. So just some differences that we talk about tonight in regards to a 4-4 versus a 6-2. Let's get a little more specific about it. Let's go back and look at a 6-2 versus a spread. This is when it becomes apparent of what the difference is. When you play a 6-2 defense, and particularly as we have it drawn up in FirstDown PlayBook, you're committing 6 defenders to the run. What I mean by that is they have no coverage responsibilities unless you've got some kind of stun on. So what we've got here is your end, tackle, end, and your will backer and Sam backer outside. And these would actually could have their hand in the dirt. What you're doing in a spread offense is you're filling up every gap right here, and you're playing the run with these 6 defenders. Your free safety essentially becomes another linebacker and just comes up because he's going to cover number 3, which is the running back man-to-man. So what happens to your inside backers? They now need to come out and cover number 2. All right, so this is what it looks like when you're playing a 6-2. Now, if you're playing a 4-4, you have more flexibility with that. If a 4-4, now what you can do is you can take that will backer, all right, and you can walk them out on number 2. Because all you've said is I'm committing 4 players to the run here and these 2 inside backers. So really, you're still getting 6 players, but look where you're getting them from. Here against the spread, you're getting them all on the line of scrimmage, all right? And that's not all bad, particularly in youth football, because you've got every gap filled up. That tackle's got the A gap. That tackle's got the A gap. We've got, you can either pinch it, but we've got that end already in the B gap. This one too. And then your will and your Sam or edge players in a 6-2. In a 4-4, you're going to play it more traditional to where now the tackle's got the B gap, the end's got contained out here. This tackle, or nose, you could call it, has got the A gap, and this end will have the C gap outside. Now your backers can flow over the top. You get to play man coverage, and you have an extra player with your free safety. So I just wanted to take a moment to let you know that depending on the formation, and you're playing it, the offense may not know what you're playing. Is it a 6-2 or a 4-4? But as they spread the offense out a little bit, it will become apparent. Now, I'm not advocating which one you should play. I'm really not. I think a 6-2 is a great defense for youth football, particularly at the young ages. But as you get, and maybe now you're coaching 11, 12-year-olds, and you're getting spread formations, you may want to look at a 4-4, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight. All right, now, so we've got the edit mode right here. Let's just look at some of the fundamentals of a 4-4. All right, the first thing is with your front. There's a lot of different fronts that you can play with a 4-4. Now, once again, the only thing you've said with a 4-man front is that you're going to commit these 4 guys right here, the 2 ends and tackles, to the run. So what we've got here is this end playing a 7 technique, meaning they're responsible for the C gap right here. We've got the Sam backer walked up playing man coverage on the outside. Once again, your free safety is still free. Now, the way you play your backs, your linebackers are, if you get two backs out this way, then the will have the first, all right? And you could call that a Mike if you wanted to, but that backer will have the second. If you get two backers out the other way, same deal. Now that backer will have the first, and the middle backer will have the second. If you get split flow, that backer will have that back, that backer will have that back, and now this backer is free. Now, what do you want to do with that free backer? If you've got two guys going this way, and this backer takes that one, and this backer takes that one, what do you tell this backer to do? Two different philosophies, neither one are right or wrong. The one thing that you can do is, if they release out on a pass, you can, once again, add him to the rush. That'll give you a 5-man rush every time they pass it, and you're essentially playing a man free behind it. Now, the other thing that you can do, though, is that if it's a pass, is you can tell this backer to be a hole player underneath, and really he just reads the quarterback's eyes and breaks up underneath on whatever he can get to. A lot of that will have to do with the level and the age of who you're coaching, all right? And then once again, let's go back and look at this, how it would pan out. Both backs release out that way. Maybe it's a play action. This one takes that one. He takes the middle one. Now this one's free. He can either be a hole player or he can add on to the quarterback. Split flow. Both backs release out different ways. Pretty common sense. Just give your backers rules. First backer out, first back out, first back out. Now I'm the one, all right, that's free. I'm either a hole player or add on to the quarterback. So something very simple that you can do to make sure that your coverages have sound rules, but at the same time, you're either getting an extra rusher to the passer or you're getting an underneath hole player, all right, on your passing game. Now, let me blow this up here a little bit. You can see in FirstDown PlayBook, and we obviously don't have enough time, and I don't want to, I don't want to get too deep in the weeds tonight, but you can do a lot of different things. You can, and I'm not going to even open these up, but you can slant with your 4-man front to the formation. You can slant to the field. You can slant to the boundary. You can slant to the formation. If you had two backs over here or a wing over here, you could tell your backers to give a rip or a Liz call and slant the way you want to. A TNT is just where you're doing it with the middle people. A lot of times people will do this on a 4-man front just to, maybe they have undersized linemen and they want to keep them on the move a little bit. All right, so that's what a TNT is. And once again, every one of these that I'm not opening up, we have fitted up against 15 different offensive formations. Outside is really just a way of playing a 4-4 defense, but now you're getting back to a 6-2, but you're getting back to it only for one call. You make a 4-4 outside, which means you're bringing your Sam, bringing your Will. Now you're going to play 0 behind it, and your free safety's got to be responsible for number 3 out to either side. Inside just means you're bringing your inside backers. Now you got your Will backers on the outside to help out, and your free safety gets involved in the coverage. Sting is just a way of bringing your strong backer and your weak side backer. And then here, I will open these up because we do have different levels of coaches on here. I'm not a big advocate of playing 2 deep coverages in youth football unless you have to. I know there are leagues out there that mandate that you play 2 deep. So we have that here in FirstDown PlayBook. If you've got a 2 deep coverage, the 4-4 is probably a good defense to look at, meaning if they want you to play 2 deep, this will give you an opportunity still to play 2 free safeties. In other words, that hole player I was talking about now can be a deep safety. And you can still play really what is 2-man. You can play man coverage underneath and you have 2 deep safeties. If your league requires you to do that, or if you're coaching a level that, where the quarterback is good enough to actually make you play 2 deep safeties instead of 1 deep safety, I would recommend looking at this in FirstDown PlayBook. It's just called 4-3 base cover 2. All right, now let's take a look right now. There are complex, and I hate to use the word complex, but there are very basic ways that you can coach a youth defense, and there's a little bit more complex way that you can that are more sound if you're coaching the older players. And I'm going to go to the complex one here first. All right, and I'm gonna really slow down. Let me shrink the screen down here. If you're coaching a 4-4 defense, the thing about coaching any defense really is that what rules and what keys are you going to give your players? Now, what we've got here is just a 4-man front. I've got the tackles playing head up. Now, I think that probably what you would do in youth football is rarely play them head up. I think that I would either play maybe a shade in here to the weak side, all right, and maybe a strong shade to the strong side. And I would give, that way now your tackles have, I've got B gap. You've given that player a responsibility. He's got A gap now. But the big part that I want to talk about is really off the ball, the 4 backers right here, and even your corners and your free safety. So let's look at the things that you would talk about teaching at a little bit higher level. And then I'm going to simplify it here with this look right here for the younger players. So let's start with the strong side corner out here. So the thing about the outside guys, we get this every week, your corners are going to be contained in a 4-4. All right, so what is contained? Contained commonsensically is keeping everything inside and in front. In other words, that ball should never get outside of me. And once again, we draw the FirstDown PlayBook youth plays not to scale on the field because we want to draw them big enough to where the younger players will be able to focus on them. But the thing is that we want this corner to be contained, keep everything inside, and we want them to keep everything in front of them. All right, so that's what the responsibility would be at a base level for this corner. Now, if you're playing a complex play like this is a play that could be an option over here. It could be a counter handback, and you almost have to disregard the blocking here because what we've done is we've got where the ball could be handed to the fullback here, the ball could be kept by the quarterback, or the ball could be pitched out here. Okay, so what I'm trying to work with you tonight on is what do I teach my players, all right, other than contain? The thing that you want to teach an older player, meaning an 11 or 12-year-old player in youth football, you want to teach them in some type of option play, they're going to be pitch. It's almost 100%, unless you've got some kind of stun on, that corner is going to be responsible for pitch. Now, what are they going to be reading? We already talked about that they're going to be reading number 1 because they've got them in man coverage, right? So if that 2-back, as we've got it called here, blocks down, you got to be careful. You can't pull the trigger too fast. But if that 2 blocks down and that corner looks in the backfield and sees the ball coming his way, then what he's going to do is step to his man coverage responsibility and then get back outside for contain. He'll be the pitch on the option. All right, now let's go back inside. Here's the outside backer, which would be, let's just go ahead for simplicity purposes here. Let's call it Sam. Your Sam backer right now would be responsible really for the D gap. All right, we've got the end and the C gap. So that Sam at a basic level would be responsible for the crease or the C gap right there. All right, so let's take it a little bit further though. What key would he have? What key would that Sam backer have? The Sam backer would be, once again, keying this tight end. Now, because that's number 2, right? And I already told you, corner's got 1, Sam's got 2 in this right here. So now, if that tight end were to pull over here, which they would on a counter play, then that Sam backer should be looking through the backfield and be able to see that happen. Once that happens right now, all right, now your Sam backer can start flowing over the top to help out on this counter play over here. Now, once again, if this was the option, that wouldn't happen. I'm trying to show you a couple plays at once. If this were the option over here, that would just be another base block with the 2. And so he wouldn't get that read. Guess what? He would be on the quarterback over here. He would be quarterback, all right, and then inside out to pitch if he got there late. But once again, he's got that tight end man coverage. So I'm going to put that back in there. All right, now the backer to this side. What does this backer have? Well, pretty simple when you're inside guys. They've got really any inside run. So they've got this 4-back right here. Anything that this 4-back does, if it's a dive option over here, if it's a counter back over here. So what he can do is pretty much read that fullback, all right, that single back, But once again, at a higher level, you want to teach that linebacker to read through that guard right there. If that guard pulls, odds are that play, and I mean like 90% odds are that play's coming back over here somewhere. So at a higher level of football, meaning coaching 11, 12-year-olds, you can actually teach them not just to look at this, but they can look at the guard pulling. So you can see already, if this turns out to be a counter play and the guard and the tight end are pulling here, all right, you're going to have two guys scraping over the top late in your inside backer and your sandbacker. Now, if it were the option over here, guess what? This guy wouldn't be pulling. He would be blocking down or whatever, so everything would be taking this guy inside out. He would be responsible for the dive on this side. So once again, all I'm trying to do is give you two reads. Your read is in the backfield, and your read can be on the line if you're coaching linebackers. Now let's look at this offside backer over here. Let me go ahead and put that pull back in there. All right, so this backer over here, everything on the snap of the ball starts this way. So he's looking at the four back. If he focuses on the four back and he's slow to the ball, he'll be sitting there and he'll be waiting on that ball when it cuts back. All right, let's look at what he's looking at from a standpoint if he wants to look at through the guard, through anything over here. If he starts, he's looking at this, and I moved that guy over, but if he's looking at this guard and tackle right here and there's a double team, guess what? Then it's going to help him understand that there's some type of counter maybe coming back over here. Now, the other thing that these guys over here can do when they get a pull, they can yell, pull, 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 tells that guy right there, I got to quit saying guy because I know we've got plenty of female linebackers out there. Jen Welter will come smack me if she hears me say guy. But the thing is that when they get the pull call right here, it can tell him to slow down, come back and play this run. No pull call, nobody pulls, everything starts that way. This linebacker just wants to be a scrape player and look for cutback. All right, now over here, once this three back goes in motion and you're playing man coverage, regardless of what you're playing, this corner right here is probably going to run with them. All right, in a more sophisticated defense at least. So he wants to give an I'm gone call, and now that linebacker right there understands I'm the last guy over here. That guy's gone. My corner's gone. Guess what? I am now the contained player. All right. Once that happens, I'm now the contained player. I'm slow to go on anything that goes away from me because guess what? If they come back with a reverse, I'm responsible for it over here. My corner is gone. All right. Now, so that included with your gap responsibility and your free safety that's free to the ball. All right. He's extra in the pass, but he's also free to the ball either way. Is how you would coach up that defense in a 4-4 if you wanted to read the offensive line and the backs. Now, let's say you're coaching 7- and 8-year-olds. You're sitting there going, I know some of you are going like, Coach, no way that this is happening with my 8-, 9-year-olds, maybe even my 10-year-olds. That's okay, because now what you want to do if you're coaching the younger players is this. You want to just coach them to look at the backfield. You want to coach them up here, same deal. Gap responsibilities, whether it be B gap or A gap, you make that decision because you can, I told you before, you can change that up. But now back here, all I want to do is my corner's contained, and anything that comes my way, I'm pitch. Anything that goes away from me, I'm trail. All right? I'm going to fold and trail. All right? Anything that comes at me here, I'm going to be a crease. I'm going to be a quarterback. I'm not going to worry about pulls or anything like that, because right now I'm 8 years old and I'm not looking there. I'm looking in the backfield is what I'm looking at. I'm looking at that quarterback. I'm looking where the ball's coming over here. I want to know flow to me or flow away. All right, flow to me. I got the quarterback. I got D gap. Flow away. I'm scrape over the top. All right, now inside backer. Flow to me. I am inside out to the ball, meaning I'm going to check B, C, D to the ball. All right, ball away from me. I'm going to be slow to go, scrape, help late. Same thing with this backer right here. Flow to me. All right, I'm going to play the gap that the tackle is not playing, and flow away. I'm going to scrape out here, and you can see the two outside backers have the same responsibility. two inside backers have the same responsibility, and my two corners have the same responsibility. Very simple. What I would recommend coaching at the youth football level, unless you get to where you're coaching 11, 12-year-olds. I always say this, that with FirstDown PlayBook, we have youth football plays, we have youth football defenses, we have varsity plays, we have varsity defenses, but there is always what I call the tweener age, to where they're somewhere in between. They're not quite ready for prime time on Friday Night Lights or anything like that, but they're far enough along to where now you can start talking to them about, you know what, as you're looking through there now, you start seeing people pull across. That it doesn't take a whole lot to know that if everybody's pulling over here, now I can start getting over here and be helped, particularly if it ties into your man coverage rules. And everything here does, all right? Because once again, corner's got 1, sandbacker's got 2, this backer's got 3 if he comes out his side, this backer's got 3 if he comes out his side, got the back if he comes out his side, this outside backer's got that tight end, and this corner has got the wing, the slot going in motion right there. Okay, now I've tried to shorten it intentionally tonight and really stay focused on this one thing here. But what I'd like to do now is just open it up for questions, whether it be about the difference in a 4-4 and a 6-2, whether it be exclusively about the 4-4 or whatever. The questions are the best things about these webinars. And so what I want to do is make sure that before you leave here tonight, everybody gets their questions answered. And I think Kendall mentioned it before. Please use the chat area. She'll be looking at that, and she'll get the questions to me, and I'll answer them as we go. Kendall, we got any yet?
Not yet.
All right. Well, I'm gonna hit you up with a few things here as you send them in. I really do hope that you send some questions in, because I know you've got them. Let's put it that way. Now, with FirstDown PlayBook, once again, what we've done is we're putting everything that we talk about here on these webinars in FirstDown PlayBook. At the end of the day, there's going to be 10 webinars in the youth football part of it. If you go to the offensive section, and I'm just going to open it up here. Let me go back to one of these. So right now you're looking at the offensive section, the defensive section, and you've got a 6-2 and a 5-3. But if you go back in, and then you go to the youth offense, what you're going to find is down here with the Chalk Talk clinics. You're going to see where we've done the sweep, we've done the power, we've done the counter. Now, as you open up, let's say, who can make all 10 of them? It'd be hard to make all 10 of them. But if you open up any one of these now and you're a member, all right, all you do is open it up. And I don't want to have dueling Charlies here, but if you go to notes, that webinar is in there. And so there's no, if you're a FirstDown PlayBook member, you're getting 10 free webinars along with your youth football part of it. Kendall, we got any yet?
Yes. So this one is from Aaron. I coach 9 and 10-year-olds. Would you build a defense from a 6-2, 4-4, or 5-3? Most teams run outside in our league. A few run spread or student body right or student body left.
How old were they, Kendall, again?
9 and 10-year-olds.
Okay. Aaron, is that right?
Correct.
Yeah. Aaron, you've got the tweeners of the tweeners, meaning that 6 and 7 is I would be going 6-2 all the way. And if you said that you were coaching 11, 12, I would be going, okay, 4-4 all the way. So to me, what I would do, let me go over here. Let's just take a look at the two. I think it's more about your formations, Aaron. If you're getting a bunch of tight formations, meaning to where you've got 2 tight ends and 2 wings, I would play a 6-2. If they're spreading you out a little bit, then I probably would go 4-4. And that way what you've got is, let me go back over here to the 4-4. You've got the ability to have people outside for contain, and you can let them scrape, inside out. And so to me, it'd be more about the formations. I'd love to hear, if you want to come back and ask Kendall again, let me know what formations you're getting. That tells me more about probably what defense I would play really than your age group. Kendall?
This one is from Ron. Should the corner always flow to the motion or stay home and allow the linebacker to flow with the motion?
Well, Rod, is that right, Kendall?
Ron.
Ron, here's the deal on that is really, let me get back over here. Let me shrink it back down a little bit. If you're playing, I'm a big believer, Ron, in playing man coverage with youth. I don't know that zone makes sense to, I don't think zone makes sense to a lot of 13 to 14-year-olds, to be honest, because really zone turns into man whenever you play it. So when you're talking about a youth football player playing zone coverage, I kind of cringe a little bit. So that's my premise for saying you're going to be in man coverage right here. So when that 3 goes across, whether it's orbit motion or jet motion or whatever, it's going to be really hard for that corner to communicate with that backer and bump, or that backer to run, and now that corner becomes contained. To me, if I'm coaching younger players and it's motion, then I'm going to tell him to run with it. Don't run underneath. Don't get in the way of your linebackers. Just run with it and understand that you might be late getting over there. All right. But at the same time, when you're playing against youth teams, you're not going to get that execution where you got, Tyreek Hill or something like that coming across. You just want to react and be late to the ball over here. But when you leave, you want to give an I'm gone. You want to make sure that he understands that you're leaving, because that is important, regardless if you're coaching 6-year-olds or you're coaching 26-year-olds. Once he comes over or she comes over, now there's contained responsibility out here, like I was talking about before. So to answer your question, I'm going to run with the motion. There's too many things that can happen if you don't. Kendall?
So this is from Chuck. I'm a first-time head coach coaching 11 and 12-year-olds. I played in high school a long time ago. I've never been much of an X and O's kind of guy. Do you have any advice on what to study to become one?
Well, Chuck, it's going to be hard for me not to mention FirstDown PlayBook right now, to be honest with you. And I'm half joking, half not. But what I want to show you, and I'm not sure what your familiarity is with what we do here, but I'm going to go back here to show you, for example, just the foundations of FirstDown PlayBook. So if you came in and once again, you're coaching a youth football team and you go in, what we do is we give you multiple formations, all right? And once this is just the offensive side of it, but let's say you want to be some type of power I team. And then once we get you inside the power I, what we end up doing is we not only give you a bunch of plays or drawn up by NFL coaches. You can see 2 different pages right here. But what we also do is we take the play up, and you're not going to find this anywhere else. You're not going to find where anybody else takes the time to do this. What we do, Chuck, is we block it up against multiple defenses. In other words, if you're going to play a 5-3 that week, we block it up against a 5-3, that play. If you're going to play a bear, all right, if you're going to play a 4-4, we do that much for you. Now you can flip that play, run it left or right. And this is the key right here, that there's coaching points. So it's like a clinic. So if Chuck, you've got a background in football. If you played a while back, football hadn't changed that much, trust me. Everybody tries to act like it has, every 5 years or so they act like they're running a play or a defense that's never been run before. It's just not true. So you've got a lot of help in here, not only schematically with diagrams, but also here. And then at the end of the day, if you want to come in and edit your plays, you get the advantage of having everything we've given you with the coaching points and all that, but you can come in and name whatever you want it to. You can name that your quarterback, or that might be Ned Riley, whatever. And that way you can identify your players, and you can flip it horizontally. You can even flip it vertically if you want to actually coach the defense. So in my opinion, once again, I spent a lot of time at this, Chuck. I don't think there's anything else out there better to help you be a youth football coach than what we're doing right here. Kendall?
Alfred said, seems like a 4-4 is for bigger boys. What do you recommend for smaller size team in weight, 10 and 11-year-olds?
Well, I don't know if I would agree that a 4-4 is for bigger guys. Maybe up here, maybe up front. I guess who asked the question, Kendall?
Alfred.
Alfred?
Yep.
Alfred, I think maybe up here, these four players probably need to be a little stockier because you're playing a four-man front. But at the same time, you're getting, there've been plenty of defenses that play with four, really 8 people up here that are smaller, meaning that you can get into where you're slanting and angling, like I showed you before, and everybody off the ball, they're able to run to the football. So let's go back over. Got so many windows open up here, I can't remember where I'm going, but let's just go here back to the youth defense. We'll look at, I've got the slant. I'll bring the slant up here intentionally because you can move your folks up front. If you've got smaller players, I don't think that should preclude you from playing a 4-4 defense. I really don't. I think in some ways it might fit right into what you want to do. But if you've got smaller guys up here, smaller players up here, you just want to maybe keep them on the move. Let me blow this up. And so you can look at, regardless of what formation you're getting, if you've got smaller players, you don't want to line them all up on the line of scrimmage because it's kind of like being in a fight, right? If you got a big guy, you don't want to get up close to a big guy where he can get his hands on you. You want to get back here where you can flow, all right? And so that's what these 4 backers are able to do if you've got smaller personnel. Now, if you're small up here, keep them moving. Just like you can see, this is a slant defense, every one of these right here. But I don't know that I would agree that if you've got smaller personnel, I think a 4-4 is probably better than a 6-2. And a 5-3, I don't know. I mean, depends on if you've got I would say if you've got one guy that's big enough to play your nose, you might want to look at a 5-3. Kendall?
So Aaron came back. He asked earlier about the what defense to run for 9 and 10-year-olds. Mm-hmm. And he came back and said a lot of teams try to run a 2-back offense with 2 tight ends and just get outside, sweeps, jet, QB sweep. A few run an odd formation with 4 backs and just do a QB sweep. You asked him to come back with this.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think, all right, so if you're talking about, and once again, I've got the slant on here. So Aaron, and I can't remember your original question right now, but if I'm looking at it and you're getting tight formations, okay, and you want to run a 4-4, I think once again, you're still in good shape right here. Just what you can do is, and Kendall, can you go back and get the original question so I can make sure I'm answering it?
Yep.
So
he asked, would you build a defense from a 6-2, 4-4, or 5-3?
Right. So I think that you're in good shape with a 4-4. All right. Even if you're getting the tight formations, Aaron, you can play the 6-2 and be fine. Okay. But you're still okay with the 4-4, and here's why. Because when somebody comes in motion, all right, you can kind of do some things that we're talking about right here. You can tell these guys right here, if you get a motion this way, you can make a rip call, all right? And rip is going to tell everybody to slant to the right. If you got this right here, you can make a Liz call. Essentially, it would look like, let me go ahead and flip it. It would look like that. All right, that will help you actually get to where they're running the ball. Now, if they're just lining up and basing you in 2 tights and 2 wings, then I'm going to go ahead and say that you're right. Just line up in a 6-2. Why not, right? I mean, if they're just lining up trying to mash you, I'm going to fill all my gaps up. I'm going to get my free safety. I'm going to get him involved. I'm going to get that player also involved late to the ball, and they'll have the running back. But if somebody's going to line up like this, all right, and you're playing 9 and 10-year-olds, probably what's going on is this quarterback right here can't take the game over with their arm, which you would expect with a 9 and 10-year-old. So I think that if they're going to play this formation a lot, I would play a 6-2. If I wanted to play a 4-4, though, I would just try to, make a rip or a Liz call or something like that to help me when I needed it. But the 6-2 would be fine against tight formations. Kendall?
So this is a question from Troy. He coaches 12 and 13-year-olds. Okay. Do you think I can stick a speed guy at weak tackle and sneak into a 3-4 after the ball is snapped?
What kind? Sneak what into as a weak tackle?
Do you think I can stick a speed guy at weak tackle and sneak into a 3-4 after the ball is snapped?
Yeah, Troy. I mean, no doubt. I mean, and you're coaching 12, 13-year-olds. So once again, you're getting more into what you're talking about doing is, and this is really not a strong or weak formation, but what Troy's talking about doing is this right here. He's talking about on the snap of the ball, I guess, dropping this guy out and then stunning at the last second. But you better be careful now. I mean, yeah. So that's what you're looking at right there. You don't pay attention to the slant and all that. But really, what you've done is you've stunned it to a 5-3, or shift it to a 5-3 at the last second. And I don't know if you're going to take your tackle and make them the Mike backer, if you're going to take them, make them the weak backer. You can do that. I think that's good. Just be careful. I think what you're telling me, Troy, is that in practice, you're going to spend the majority of your time, and I'm going to exit out of here. In practice, you're going to spend the majority of your time teaching the 5-3, which that would be fine. So what you would do is really put in your base as a 5-3, and then what I would do is, if I was going to teach it this way, I would just put in the 4-4 and just say, okay, now shift to your regular defense. We're moving around here a lot tonight, but I think that's good. I'm going to open this up right here to show you what I'm talking about. So, Troy, I wouldn't teach the 4-4 now. I would teach the 5-3. If I were a youth coach, regardless of you're teaching 12, 13-year-olds or 11, 12-year-olds, I can't remember what you said, I wouldn't teach the 4-4. I would teach what I'm going to end up in late, right? And this is what you're going to end up in. All right. And so what I would do is, and the New England Patriots, who play a 3-4 defense, used to do this every year when I was at the Buffalo Bills. They were a 3-4 defense, but the second preseason game, they would come out and they would substitute that backer right there, and they would play like an even front. And all the responsibilities would be the same. So, yeah, what you would want to do is just teach your backer right there. You're going to line up there before the ball snap, just come back. You come back over, and now we're playing our base defense. So I'm seeing what you're saying, Troy. Just make sure that if you're playing a 5-3 when the ball snaps, a 5-3 is what you coach. Kendall?
Those are all the questions we have.
All right.
So as Charlie mentioned, the recording of this webinar, along with all of our past Youth Football Chalk Talk webinars, are inside FirstDown PlayBook for our members. This one will be ready by tomorrow afternoon, and all of them can be found under the youth offensive or defensive sections. If you are a youth football commissioner, please feel free to spread the word about these future webinars to your coaches. We have them every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. I know that a lot of you are members on here, but if you aren't as familiar with FirstDown PlayBook, we are the official playbook of USA Football. We have a database of over 35,000 football plays. Charlie showed you a handful of them tonight. All plays have coaching points and player assignments for every position. All of our plays are editable using our play engine. If you are able, you're also able to draw your own plays from scratch. You can easily print wristband sheets right from your playbooks. We have both 90-day and annual subscriptions. Youth 90-day season memberships are $99.99, while annual subscriptions are just $199.99. And for joining us tonight, you can get a 10% off coupon that I'm sending right now in the chat to everyone. So you can use that coupon at that website for 10% off any membership. And it looks like, Charlie, we have another question that just came in, also from Troy. Will man coverage leave me susceptible to jet sweeps?
Well, it can. It can, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Next week, we're going to talk about the jet series run game from the offensive perspective. And anything we do here, we kind of flip it and talk about both sides. But I don't – if you're going to play man coverage, Troy, and there's going to be somebody go in motion to be the jet runner, all right? And when that happens, if the two right here, I don't have it in edit mode, but the 2 comes across and goes in jet motion, then you just want to bring somebody, once again, over late, and you want to start screaming, rip, 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 or something like that to make everybody head this way. The jet sweep is going to be more about your contained players and your alley players than it is playing man coverage. I think man coverage actually gives you a good opportunity to get an extra player to the jet sweep. But we'll talk about that next week, like I said, because jet sweep is going to be our topic for next week. Anything else, Kendall?
That's all we got.
All right, I'm going to finish up by saying this. Every year, July 1 is a big day for youth football coaches. We see an explosion really right at the beginning of July and then right after the 4th of July about coaches jumping on and buying our youth football passes. And the thing we did last year, we looked at it, we had a lot of coaches, that were on, the average time that a youth football coach uses our deal is 3 months. So what we did is we went in and sliced our prices, our monthly prices, and we created a 90-day season pass. So the prices have never been cheaper than what they are with FirstDown PlayBook, whether it be flag or tackle. So I know some of you might be waiting on your season to actually start and maybe worried about whether it is going to start. But at the same time, I just want to let you know that we've done everything we can on this end to make sure it's affordable to you. So once again, appreciate you being here tonight. Hope you're going to come back next week when we talk about the jet sweep. If you are a commissioner, I really hope that you'll spread the word about this. If you're not a commissioner, I really hope that you'll get on your commissioner and tell them to spread the word to your coaches. Y'all have a good night. Have a great 4th of July. Be safe. Take care.